The bass drops. The beat reverberates. Through the headphones, two artistic forces collide as Kendrick Lamar's verse on Good Credit with Playboi Carti reshapes the landscape of contemporary hip-hop. This isn't just another track, it's a statement that echoes beyond the album itself. When Kendrick Lamar stepped into Playboi Carti's world, he wasn't asking for permission. He was shattering expectations. For years, listeners and critics alike had placed Kendrick firmly in the conscious rapper category, a box that, while prestigious, limited the scope of his artistic expression. But Kendrick has never been one to accept limitations. The collaboration marks more than a musical shift. It represents Kendrick's refusal to be confined by hip-hop's artificial divisions. The industry and fan culture have long maintained arbitrary boundaries: lyrical versus vibe-driven, conscious versus mainstream, complex versus accessible. These divisions serve no purpose but to fragment a culture that thrives on evolution and synthesis. By adapting his flow to Carti's distorted soundscape while maintaining his lyrical complexity, Kendrick creates something entirely new. In Good Credit, he navigates the heavy bass and atmospheric production with the same dexterity he brings to jazz-influenced beats. Lines like "the vamps and the boogies we jug through the party" demonstrate his ability to embrace Carti's aesthetic while integrating his own narrative style. This mirrors Hegel's dialectic perfectly. The conscious rapper, thesis, meets the vibe-heavy artist, antithesis, creating a powerful synthesis that validates both forms equally. In philosophy, this process transcends opposing forces, creating something that honors both while becoming greater than either alone. In Good Credit, you hear this tension play out, smoother skin and bright teeth mentioned alongside deeper reflections on identity and culture. The song oscillates between immediate pleasures and enduring concerns. But Kendrick doesn't treat these as opposites. He reveals them as complementary aspects of the same artistic expression. The production builds and recedes as Kendrick weaves between flows, sometimes mirroring Carti's staccato delivery, other times bringing his signature intricate wordplay. This isn't compromise, it's the conquest of artificial boundaries. Kendrick is engaging in what Lacan might call self-othering. The French psychoanalyst described how our identities form through recognition of ourselves as both subject and object, seeing ourselves as others see us. Dark Kenny isn't an alternate persona, but a recognition that artistic identity flows rather than freezes. It's Kendrick acknowledging all facets of his creative self, refusing to be defined by a single aspect of his expression. When he asks, "Which one of you, go and merch it?" he's calling out an industry that extracts black cultural expressions while erasing their origins. Merching something, swearing on its truth, comes from Chicago street culture, and Kendrick's use of it highlights how slang and cultural signifiers are constantly mined and commodified without proper attribution or understanding. This is Nietzschean in its refusal of constraints. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the will to power wasn't about domination of others, but overcoming self-imposed limitations. While artists like Drake repackage subgenres for credibility, Kendrick validates what others dismiss, integrating what Jung would call his shadow elements. Carljung believed true psychological wholeness comes from embracing the parts of ourselves we typically repress. By stepping into the chaotic, bass-heavy world that some conscious artists might disdain, Kendrick isn't abandoning his principles. He's demonstrating a fuller vision of artistry that includes both light and shadow. Lines like "sins on my body, that's on my kids" reveal the tension between moral awareness and chaotic indulgence. Kendrick acknowledges the complexity of human experience, the way we carry both responsibility and desire. References to Good Credit aren't just flexing, but acknowledge systemic financial barriers in Black communities. When Kendrick raps about $35,000 credit, he's nodding to a reality where financial institutions have historically excluded Black Americans through redlining and discriminatory lending practices. Good Credit becomes not just a personal achievement, but a victory against systemic obstacles. As the track progresses, these economic and philosophical threads intertwine. The personal becomes political, the immediate connects to the historical, the sonic merges with the semantic. This is hip-hop at its most powerful, entertainment that doesn't sacrifice enlightenment. Kendrick isn't seeking approval or abandoning his past. He's declaring that hip-hop's future lies in fearless integration, redefining not just himself, but the entire art form. By refusing to choose between depth and innovation, consciousness and vibes, tradition and evolution, he charts a path forward that honors hip-hop's roots while expanding its branches. As the song concludes, something has shifted in the cultural landscape. The artificial walls between hip-hop's subgenres have been exposed as the constructs they always were. In their place stands a vision of hip-hop that is both more authentic and more free, where artists can move between sonic worlds without abandoning their essence. This is what makes the collaboration truly revolutionary. Not just two artists recording together, but a statement about what music can be when we strip away preconceptions. Kendrick hasn't compromised his art, he's completed it, showing that true mastery comes not from limitation, but from integration. In the end, Dark Kenny isn't darkness at all. It's Kendrick Lamar in full color, embracing every shade of his artistic palette. And in doing so, he lights a path forward for hip-hop itself, one where authenticity comes not from conforming to expectations, but from the courage to transcend them.